Welcome back, and this is News Sources Fast. The media said he had died. Then the same media said he had survived a police beating and was alive and well. The same media is disputing his version of events, claiming the man captured on camera being clobbered is not one seen lying on the street or on the bed in Kibera. Let's take a listen and look at this.
How is it that there are pictures of you in the crowds with the other protesters?
Yeah, the picture, I was crossed from university, there's a flyover coming down. I joined that flyover to come to join from Nyerere, to join from Kenyatta Avenue toward to Nyerere roundabout to the university roundabout. On my way, I made them.
All right.
And I'm not scared for anything. I walked and to their midst, walking me alone. I was not shouting or walking.
All right, dead man walking, unbelievable stuff. Oruko, I have a first go at this.
No, this is a joke. It's a very big joke because I just can't understand it because actually we should not be discussing the man. Let's focus on the savage in the name of a cop. Whether he's alive or not, that's his business now.
We want to discuss that the other end, but the thing about this man is this, that he exposed possibly the weakest point of the Kenyan media, that in fact we can be spinned at the discretion of anyone.
No, I don't know whether there's any media that reported he's dead. I thought it was some social media.
Well, the Daily Mail actually did report that he was dead, but that's international.
No, Daily Mail,
every serious media was in this country reported this man was dead.
Oh, well.
Everyone reported this man was dead.
Yeah, but actually you can understand the media because of the beating. It was not very nice.
But we hadn't verified, which is a problem.
It wasn't. We are also human beings. Even if those things rain on you, 2 or 3 of them,
I think
you should be dead.
You should be dead, but there's a higher standard, obviously, for the media to verify facts.
That's savage of a cop.
But beyond that, he said he had gone for an Uber interview, dressed in a green hoodie, jeans, and a cap.
And the story that he's selling up to date.
Yes, and he had a stone in his pocket. So there are like inconsistencies in his story. And when you look at the various pictures that have come out of this guy, they look different. So if life is indeed a stage and all the world are actors, then this guy has very many stunt doubles, because we can't seem to pinpoint exactly who he is.
For me, I think he's not the guy, because the beating, I think it is.
But these are new pictures we're showing now. This is him immediately after the beating. He's sitting. He's being helped to.
James, in Kenya, there are people who want to always make money out of every situation. Probably this is a planted guy. I don't think that. Even assuming he's the one.
You don't believe the authenticity of this video? Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe so. Maybe of the beating, yes.
Yeah.
But of the other guy, no.
Being helped, you don't believe that?
No, helped, yes.
Yes.
Okay, you have seen he's being helped.
Yes.
But in a terrible state.
So you don't believe the guy who was doing the interview is actually the same person?
No, I don't believe so.
Dennis?
I don't believe so.
I think this man is many things, but what he is, he was beaten, and is a miracle. This man is a miracle worker. How fast he recovers from beatings, it's amazing.
Yeah,
and when you look at him, you wonder how flexible a man can be after such kind of beating. He was up and about, and I think he was checked into Coptic Hospital for some normal checkup before he started fielding questions from journalists from every media house. But again, was media duped into believing this man had died? I think social media set the stage for this man to die and again to resurrect. And no one has cared to really understand why. For instance, he had brown shoes, suddenly he had black shoes, or he has a big nose, such stuff. So it will take us a bit of time, James, to understand, but it's a living example of how you can walk away from the dead.
Proving that there is a God.
Yep.
But also, let's also go to the very end of this matter. How did he come to the media rather than go to the hospital? How did he end up to speak to the media for that matter? Who brought him? Who did he contact?
That is a story for another day.
Did he contact you, for
That is a
example?
story for another day.
How did
gentlemen.
a person who requires to go and see a doctor go to see a microphone?
That's a story for another day. When did Kenyans start loving the police force? Well, a cross-section of Kenyans are lauding the police brutality to an extent of welcoming the purchase of water cannons and tear gas canisters. A good thing or a bad thing? Oruko.
Of course, we talked about the country being in two pieces. Officially, I think the police have a serious support. The protesters, the stone throwers have been dealt with. 15 of them are already in court. Now, the savage, that policeman is wherever. We're still waiting to discover that this man is not dead, so therefore whatever he did was very good, and the country is supposed to go and sing to him carols. It's a good thing depending on where you stand. But the most important thing I want to know, to point out was that before these events, Interior Cabinet Secretary was captured on the camera promising this. Then I think there was the MP for Tetu, Gethenji Ndungu, was somewhere in Nyeri saying we have enough APs, we have enough policemen, we have enough tear gas, we have enough bullets, you know. So, yes, the police behavior has official endorsement.
This is interesting, Julie, to think of it. I mean, the Kenya Police Force, then the National Police Service, now has been reformed, quote unquote. If a cross-section of Kenyans, and majority of them, or half of them, are saying what you're witnessing on TV is good TV, people being clobbered, people losing teeth, people being shot at with live bullets, and they're welcoming this, where are we going as a nation?
I think it's depressing, actually, that we always see every issue through either a Accord or a Jubilee lens or a tribal lens. And in this particular situation, some people wanted him to be dead because they were like, then this will make Jubilee look worse, which was so absurd. And some people were insisting that he was not dead because they wanted to make Accord look worse. But the point of the matter was that the police used excess force on a citizen of this country. So we need to stop. And it's even the young people on social media who are consistently being tribal in their assessment of issues. And about the water cannons and the riot gear, I saw a story about a primary school up country, I think in Kisii, who are protesting against their head teacher being transferred, and there was a cop in full riot gear at a protest of children. So where are we going with this? Why is the state arming themselves against the people? And what's, again, is it a precursor for what's to come? Or
Smart, are we setting up our own policemen against its own citizens?
This is typical Kenyan. I'm not surprised. Kenyans are always in the habit of seeing things as two faced. If it doesn't affect Kenyans, most of us, it's not an issue, right? We do this all the time on everything, you know. When we are raining and we are in our small cars, we don't care about the people who are, you know, on the matatus and they're walking on bikes and that sort of thing. As long as I have my small, you know, loan and I'm in middle class, I don't care about poor housing and high cost of living, education. It's typical Kenyan, right? So I'm not surprised.
You even wonder, they stay in those houses because they're lazy. They don't work hard like you.
But then, you're not surprised, James, but then what the situation can't remain as it is. And even though you do care about these people, what do you do? If you do care about the situation, what's your next point of action, basically, in situations like this? All we can do right now in this particular situation is talk.
All right, talk, and that's all we'll do. Now we're joined by police spokesman Charles Owino, who's been able to join us and talk to us. Charles, good evening. Thanks for talking to us. You've seen the video and the conversation going on for 2 days now of a policeman brutally beating a protester, clobbering him and stepping on him. Was that reasonable force?
Hello?
Yes.
The definition of reasonable force is determined by the force that somebody uses against you. Hello?
Yes, go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
So, the particular officer will have to state in an inquiry on what made him subject the person to that kind of beating. At that moment, the particular group that will be carrying out the inquiry will determine whether the force he has used was reasonable or not reasonable, depending on his defense.
Allow me just to take you a step back, just to clarify. Are you saying that there's going to be an inquiry on exactly the use of force in this particular protest and this particular gentleman and the policeman, and to allow the both parties to define and explain
Yes,
what is happening at that time?
Definitely, we are aware that we have an oversight authority, and we also have an internal affairs mechanism. And this is a general complaint that has come out, and everybody has complained. And for that reason, the officer must be subjected to investigations, and he has to justify the reasons as to why he did that. And I want to remind you that as police officers, we don't take collective responsibility. We take individual responsibility. Unlike officers in the army, police officers will always have to act on their own without referring to their superiors or their books at every time. And that is why we demand that every officer must have common sense and make use of it. So it is important that that particular officer who was involved in this must explain under what circumstance and what reason made him act in the manner that he did. And it will be upon the persons who will be inquiring into this to determine. And if he is found to have committed an offense, then he must answer to it as an individual.
We know, this is Dennis, you're saying police don't take collective responsibility if they commit crimes.
Individual responsibility.
Yeah, but this was collective orders given by a commanding police officer in the name of Nairobi Police Commander.
When police officers are going for duty, hello?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
You remember we had so many policemen in this demonstration that were supposed to manage the riot and so on. And maybe one or two police officers could have been involved in beating an individual or individuals. At that time when he's acting, there's nobody behind him giving him instructions on what to do. If you can remember very well, there was another police officer coming to stop him from what he was doing. So you cannot call it a collective responsibility. It is an individual responsibility.
Mr. Wino, are you also saying that these policemen on the individual basis decided to use live bullets on protesters? Again, was it a collective order from their police commander?
If you use your firearm, you carry your firearm as an individual. And if you decide to use it, you use it as an individual. If it was collective, then all officers would use their firearm, if need be. And if you look at much of the firearms, much of the bullets that you are calling live bullets, if you look at them, they were not live bullets. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Wino, this is Julie.
Yes.
There's the issue of reasonable force, and there's also the issue of proportionate force,
Yes.
which is commensurate, which should respond to the amount of resistance being put up by the person who the force is being used against. So in this particular, in this instance, was that force proportionate, given that the person who was being beaten was not even responding?
All this will depend on the circumstances in which you are acting. There are times you can use your firearm and even kill, and it becomes justifiable if you are justified to use your firearm. There's a time you can even just threaten with a button, and the force becomes unreasonable. So what happens is that reasonable force is determined by the situation.
Given that we all saw the video and we saw what happened in that situation, was that force either reasonable or proportionate?
What I can say is I cannot call it reasonable and unreasonable, but I've said it depends on the full circumstance. When you give me a video, you don't give me the full circumstance. You only show me the action where the person is beaten. We are not saying that what the officer did was right or wrong, but what we are saying is that this must be subject to a complete inquiry by independent individuals to tell what actually happened just before that force was used.
All right.
Yeah, Mr. Wino, my name is Ibrahim.
Yes, Ibrahim.
Now, my question is,
Yes.
Kenya has changed so much in the last maybe 20 years.
Yes.
I, as a father, cannot beat my child.
Yes.
And the teacher cannot just beat a child.
Yes.
In essence, corporal punishment is not allowed in Kenya.
Yes.
As a matter of perception, why
Yes.
would the Kenya Police Service allow this kind of images to come out? Do you encourage your officers to beat up
You
people?
must differentiate between a police officer and a service. You must differentiate between a police officer and a service. When you talk about Kenya Police Service, you are talking about the IG and the entire service, including Owino that we are talking to. But if there's any incident that took place, it was carried out by maybe an individual police officer. So when you talk about the whole of the police service, then you are getting it wrong. And that is where we go wrong. We need to face cases as individuals, not as the whole service. You never had Mr. Boynette giving instructions that anybody should be beaten. So you cannot come and say the police service. If you have a problem with an individual police officer, then it is the police officer. And that's why the law put in place an oversight authority that looks into circumstances in which police officers act.
Mr. Owino, in just less than 30 seconds.
The fact that one Kenyan maybe has murdered another one does not mean Kenyans are murderers.
Mr. Owino, in less than 30 seconds, have you identified this policeman who is an individual in the National Police Service for action?
And is it proper to call him a policeman?
Hello?
Mr. Owino, have you taken action against this individual policeman?
Yes, there are two institutions taking action, the Internal Affairs Unit and the Independent Oversight Authority. They'll give you the person that has committed the offense, if any.
All right, Charles Owino, police spokesman, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for talking. We're definitely looking forward to that inquiry. Thank you very much for your time. All right, now, oldest cartoonist in Kenya, Edward Gisheri Gitau, popularly known as Juha Kalulu, has passed on. The cartoonist, arguably the oldest in this industry, passed on yesterday in a district hospital in Gatundu. Were you his fan? Did you grow up reading Juha Kalulu?
No, actually I didn't. But I know of him, and he's like the elder statesman of cartoonism, if that's a thing. And he was actually 86 years old. He had 11 children. He was born in 1930, so the man has been around for like generations. Yes, he's seen it all. So I think we can say he lived a full life. He contributed massively to the industry. He worked at NMG for like more than 50 years. So it's sad that he's gone, but he did his bit. He did
his bit, Turuko?
Yeah, of course he did. I think I read him I used to read him in the early 80s. Juha Kalulu and his dog called Tusker.
Yes.
Yeah, and I followed them. So mine is just to condole. He has done his bit and let him rest.
Dennis?
He was a good man. I worked with him when I used to work on the 6th floor, and he was working on the 2nd floor.
Another media house.
Yeah, in another media house some time back, and not in the 80s. He was a good man, and I think he brought out so many issues in a very simple way, and may he rest in peace.
Well, again, I would say like you, in that other media house, I've also met him. He was a fine gentleman who lived his full life and was also full of life all the time we could meet him. That's where we end News Sources today. Julie Masiga, Ibrahim Muruko, and indeed our very own Dennis Onsarigo. We'll do this all over again tomorrow.